What's up, my friends? Welcome to the Live Wide Open podcast. I'm your host, Randy B. Ramirez, also known as Wide Open Randy, and I'm here to serve anyone who's looking to level up from their current situation. This show is dedicated to helping raise the bar for all the motorsport enthusiasts out there, those who want more out of life, those who want to do more, those who want to be more, those who love the thrill, the joy, and the connection of what these high performance engines bring into our lives. Because holding it wide open is just what we do. Being a good freaking person is who we are, and living our life to the fullest is the lifestyle that we choose. Yo, and if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that button so that you never miss another episode. Today, we're going to be talking about keeping it up. Can you get it up? Can you keep it up? And no, come on. We're not talking about that right now. Get your mind out the gutter. We're going to be discussing keeping the front wheel of your motorcycle off the ground, like rocking wheelies, controlled long wheelies to be more specific, right? And by all means, man, I always like to put this out there. I always like to stay humble. You know, I'm not the best fucking rider out there. In fact, there are many more skilled riders than I am out there. I'm not the best rider, and I truly, genuinely believe that I probably never will be. But I always strive to give advice where I can. I've been a rider for more than 25 years now. I feel like I can genuinely bring a thing or two to the table that most people can learn from. And I got serious. I guess you could say real serious about stunt riding back in 2004, probably 2005, when I purchased my first street bike. I actually purchased my first street bike in 2004. And it was a 2004 GSXR 600, brand new off the showroom, and immediately started wheelies on that thing. But before I even had bought my street bike, I used to race motocross when I was in high school, and so pushing the limits is not something that's new to me. Like, I've been actually pushing the limits on two wheels for a very long time. So when I say a lot of the things that I say, no, that is because I've been doing it for a long time. And if you're someone who wants to get to this level, someone who wants to surpass this level, just know that it's all about seat time. It's all about pushing the limits. It's all about getting out of your comfort zone and just really putting in the fucking work so that you can become the best rider that you can be. And so there was a time in my life actually when I actually stopped riding completely, and I stopped riding completely because there was a time that I wasn't doing really good in my life, and I was very serious about turning things around, about getting myself out of this dark hole, I guess, that I was in. And so because I got really serious about improving my life, because I got really serious about, earning a job, building a career, one that could provide for my family, I went ahead and I stopped riding. I really did. And looking back, I really don't regret it at all. But what it did is that it pushed the side of me that like really thrives so much. And I grabbed that side of me and I just threw it into a dark cave, and I really just put it into hibernation for several years. And doing that, like I said, I don't regret it, because doing that, what it did is it got me so fucking ahead of life. Like, especially comparing it to where I was, like, it really helped me build the life that I have right now. It enabled me to like just to get a really good job, and not just a job. It enabled me to build a career. It enabled me to buy this house that I live in. It enabled me to buy all the cars that I have, to build the cars that I have. It enabled me to buy the motorcycles that I own today. I have several of them. I have several cars too, and I don't plan to stop. The toys just keep getting more expensive. I always have this saying that men truly never grow up. The toys just keep getting more expensive, and that's a big part of why I always preach what I preach, and becoming the best version you can be, so that money is not everything, but it makes everything easier. And when you're able to provide for your family, when you're able to bring a fucking good income in, a lot of the problems can easily go away because you're making money. You're able to buy things that you want. You're able to go on vacations. You're able to provide for your family. You're able to not live on this so tight means because you're doing well for yourself, right? And so the reason why I'm sharing this is because if you are at a point in your life right now where like you want to get serious about improving your situation, if you want to get serious about kind of like making more money, if you want to be serious about just, just improving and leveling the fuck up, I just know that it's okay to put your hobbies aside. It's okay to put those things on pause. It's okay to do that so that you can go build a freaking career, one that will make your pockets fat as fuck. And so when I jumped back on a motorcycle after years of not riding, it actually didn't take me very long to connect the dots of how I used to ride. All because, I had put in the work way before then. Um, and no, again, and I want to say this, I want to fucking make sure that it's a point. It's okay to put your hobbies on pause to go build a life. Actually now, with the thing that I preach the most is um, try not to put them completely into hibernation mode. Leveling up, getting your shit together, building a career, it does take extreme focused dedication from your part. But now, like if I could just do it a little bit different back then, I wouldn't have entirely got rid of them. But I'm like a very like go all in type of person, so maybe that's what worked for me. But now what I preach is to to like embrace your hobbies, to embrace your passions while you build the life that you want, because it makes you a well-rounded individual. It really does. It helps you stay happy, it helps you stay passionate, and it helps you thrive so that you can show back to work to build that career that you want, right? So when I got back into riding after not riding for several years, it really didn't take me long to hold my wheelies. Like it really didn't. It didn't really take me long to bring back the coasters. Like man, that was one of my favorite tricks. It didn't take me really long to bring back the circle wheelies. I could to do, that's another one of my favorite tricks. And it didn't really take me long because I had learned all those tricks so well back when I was stunt riding like 3 to 5 days out of the week. Um, and so where the effort gets put in, progress takes place. Like it really goes hand in hand. If you're willing to put in the effort, you will start seeing the progress. And so if you're listening right now, and if you want to learn new tricks on your motorcycle, just know that you gotta be willing to put in the work. And if you're willing to put in the work, you will get better. Like it both they correlate. And so know too though that falling it's part of the game. Like it's not it like if you push these limits long enough, like know that it's not about if you will fall, it's about when you will fall. And like I always like to say that because people like, oh, I'm never gonna fall. Oh, and then when I talk about falling and when I talk about this, like, oh, that's just your mindset. Like, it's like, bro, it's not my mindset, it's my experience. I've done this long enough to know that when you push these fucking limits, sometimes the limits fight back. And if you're progressing as a rider, you're gonna be falling because you're gonna be learning new tricks. You're gonna be getting out of your comfort zone. You're gonna be fucking doing things that you're not comfortable in order to step up your riding game, right? And so this is why I always recommend to people to fucking gear up. Like at a minimum, helmet is a must. Gloves is a must because you don't want to fucking scrape your palms and not be able to wipe your ass. Jeans is a must. And now I always recommend this one because back, not my last fall, but the one before that it was very serious. Actually, the one I broke my leg and bones popped out of it and it fell back. I had high tops on, but the high tops on the side they grinded down from kind of kind of just going on the asphalt. And if I wouldn't have had the high tops, bro, that would have been my ankle just going down all the way to the bone. And so helmet, gloves, jeans, high tops at a bare minimum. And then if you could throw in a jacket in there also, trust me, bro, that you will thank me later when you don't have to be fucking dealing with cleaning up all your road rash. Because the road rash will get filled with dirt. It will get filled with asphalt. It will get filled with all this shit. And you have to fucking brush it. You have to clean it. You have to get it pink and red before it can heal. And that is so fucking painful. And on top of that, it takes time to heal. So like, depending where you get your road rash, it's depending what kind of recovery you're going to have. I've seen people that get road rash all over the back. And you imagine not being able to lean back on your chair or how you sleep or on your ass or on your fucking palms. That's why I say wear gloves. And just because you wear gloves doesn't mean you're not going to get it, but it's going to help you minimize, the effects of it. So always wear your gear and know that it's not if you will fall, know that if you push the limits long enough, it's when are you gonna fall, right? So how do you keep it up? Like, that's what we're gonna talk about today. And so when I introduced this Motorsport Wednesday framework, like I think it was 2 weeks ago, we started with discussing the foot brake on your motorcycle, like, and I started with the foot brake because 99% of the time, your foot brake will save you in a case when your motorcycle goes too far back. 99% of the time, it almost always will save you. Like, so don't let the fear, especially when you're learning to do wheelies, don't let the fear get you and automatically let go and you freak out, because that's the one of the worst things you can happen. Like, grab those fucking handlebars as hard as you can and trust the foot brake to do its thing. Slam the foot brake. It's better. I always say it's better to slam the bike down than it is to loop it back completely because you let go. Like, it just goes better for you. Yeah, you might break the mask or you might break something. You might actually go forward depending how hard you slam down. Trust me that it's better to slam down than to loop completely backwards. More times than none, you will have less injuries. You might be able to ride it out, and your bike will have way less to get repaired on, right? And so we talked about when you're doing, we started with the foot brake, and then we got into like doing some power wheelies. We talked about using also your clutch to lift up the front wheel off the ground. Those are kind of two methods that you could do. You could either hold the gas and use the power of the engine of the bike to kind of bring it up, typically in first gear or in second gear, depending if it's a real powerful bike, or you can pop the clutch, pop the clutch with some gas so that the momentum of the clutch and it's doing this thing, it gets your bike off the ground. And so I personally prefer always using the clutch at all times. It's just what I like. You rev up the bike. Again, I mentioned this in the last episode, but don't be dependent on a certain type of RPMs. You want to feel it. You want to hear it. Because you don't want to rely on always having to look at the tachometer. You want to be able to feel it. You want to be able to hear it, and you want to just get a feel for how things are. So you want to rev up the bike, and you want to pop the clutch, and then that's how when the wheelie starts initiating, and then you want to get back on the gas. And so today we're going to be talking about really touching on just actually keeping, putting the three together, holding the foot brake, popping the clutch, and really much holding the wheelie, keeping the front wheel off the ground after you engage this wheelie that we keep talking about, so that you can rock some nice ones, so that you can rock some distance, so you can hold some long wheelies, so that, it's not about just popping it and just bringing it down, or riding it until the RPM, runs out on you. Like, I'm gonna give you some pointers on how you could do so that you can hold the wheelie, so that you could grab some distance on it, right? And so pretty much how I know is that there are two different ways that you can go about this, right? The first one is that you can do it by getting on and off the throttle, and then the other one is kind of by staying on the throttle but using your foot brake to slow down the bike, right? And so you might like one or the other, like just depending on your style, depending on what works best for you. I've seen riders either typically do one or the other. Very rarely do you see kind of riders mix both of them, just because of how you learn the technique. If you learn really good going on and off the throttle, you see like a lot of guys that like a lot of kind of dirt bike guys, a lot of guys that you don't use a handbrake, and they're, because you're just going off on and off the throttle, you're pretty much, seesawing the bike. And then you have the technique of being smooth on the throttle and using the brake to kind of hold things back. And that's kind of, I prefer, that's the method I prefer. But again, there's no right or wrong here. It's all about what you like, and seeing maybe you might be good at one and not be as good as the other. You might like one better than the other. I personally like one better than the other too. So whatever works for you right here, right? So first, let's talk about getting it on and off the throttle. What this really means is that once you pop the clutch, or once you engage the power wheelie and you start pushing the bike backwards towards your balance point, which you want to get to balance point as fast as possible, within reason, in your skill level, so that when you get to balance point, you're not chasing and you're not having to be increasing speed to keep the front wheel off the ground, right? And so how you do this is that you're literally engaging and disengaging off the throttle, kind of like, like seesawing the bike back, right? And so you engage to kind of throw it back, and then you disengage so it can fall back down, and then you re-engage it back to throw it back, and you're literally seesawing it back and forth. Don't forget to cover your back brake. I'm going to say that a couple of times. Don't forget to cover your back brake, because your back brake is going to save you. Man, if you engage the throttle too much, it's going to go far back, and then you might freak out. And then what people tend to do is they'll let go. Don't fucking let go. Hold that bitch, slam the brake, save it. You can do this shit, right? And so, but you're relying more on the gas in this situation, right? Versus holding the brake to keep the wheelie up. And when I say holding the brake, I mean like riding the brake with the throttle on to keep the wheelie up. So you're going to need to typically be on some high RPMs for this to work, because you're going to be engaging and disengaging off the throttle. And if you're low on the RPMs, unless you're riding like a very torquey bike, the bike is not going to have the power to keep coming back up and down, up and down, up and down. So typically you want to be on high RPMs for this to work. And basically what you're doing is just you're hitting the gas and you're coming off the gas consistently in order to hold your wheelie. And so you're literally seesawing the bike. Like you're seesawing the bike backwards towards the balance point, and then you're getting off the gas as this comes back. And then once you start getting really good, you might not have a lot of back and forth movement. You might have just little whom, whum, 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 whum. And what that does is you're literally just keeping it right there at that point before passing balance point, keeping the wheelie engaged. Again, don't forget to cover your back brake, right? And you can also use this engine brake kind of to help you. You can use this like as it's going, like, as you're keeping on the gas, whom, whum, 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 and you're keeping the bike right there. As you're getting more technical with it, and as you're learning more, and you learn the balance point, you end up using the engine brake, which means it goes past the balance point, and at that point the engine is holding your brake without giving the gas, and it's kind of pulling you forward, pulling your bike forward. This is more of an advanced topic. Like, it works. I've seen a lot of guys use it. I've seen actually a lot of guys do it that way with no foot brake. That's you see like a lot of Harley guys, because those bikes have a lot of engine brake that they're able to rock some wheelies like that, and then they're on and off the gas, kind of seesawing it backwards. And if they pass that point of kind of typically no return, if you didn't have engine brake, when they have so much engine brake that the bike just goes whoom, and it kind of plunges back down. And so you're on and off the throttle, keeping it, seesawing effect kind of in play, right? And so you're just on and off the gas. That's pretty much how it works. And you're working on keeping the front wheel steady off the ground, and by rocking it back and forth, 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 you end up just holding the wheelie. And you can do it either until you get tired, or you just run out of physical room that you have to put the bike down, right? And it works. And the less on and off time between that you can spend on that, the easier, or I guess the smoother it's going to be for you, because you're not going to be so choppy, right? If you're able to kind of just in relation to the floor, let's say the ground is right here. If you're watching here on video, if you're listening on audio, I guess you could put it as in a degree angle. Like if you're past 45, approaching the 90 degree, kind of being the balance point measurement, you want to keep it as close to 90, being on and off the ground, so that you can kind of smooth it out, not being so drastic on the transition angles, right? Going from 90 to 45, then to 90 to 45, 90 to 45. You want to keep it like, let's say, don't hold me on these numbers, but maybe like 70 to 80 degrees, rocking angle. And then so that will help you. I've seen a lot of guys do this. A lot of guys kill the game with this. And it works. It takes practice. It takes, trusting the engine brake. And that's why I always say cover the foot brake, because when the engine brake won't save you, you want to smash that brake so you can bring it down, right? And so the other method, right, and in my opinion, is the method that you could be a little more smooth while you're on the wheelie, and it's actually the method that I prefer, but it does take a little more finesse, is to really to work the throttle hand in conjunction with your foot brake at the same time as you approach the balance point, right? And so It's kind of just like riding the brake, but riding the back brake. I'm here pushing my leg down. It's kind of like riding the back brake as your bike approaches the balance point, right? So imagine that you clutched it up. We're gonna cover the foot brake. Remember that you clutched it up. Now the bike's coming up. You're giving the throttle. The bike's coming up. It's an approaching balance point, kind of like for those of you listening and not watching. When it gets close to 90 degrees, kind of completely facing up, or how they say 12 o'clock if you're looking at a clock. And as the bike starts approaching, um, what you're doing is that you start finessing the back brake so that the bike responds to the brake, and it wants to bring it back down, but you're finessing the throttle hand. So instead of going on and off, on and off, on and off, you're being smooth with the throttle, and you're staying on a consistent kind of throttle percentage, I guess you're gonna say. Um, and instead of coming off of it on and off, on and off, you're just holding it steady, to a certain extent, obviously. But then you're using the back brake to kind of bring it back. And so instead of being on and off the gas, you're consistently on the gas. Again, at a keeping it, for context tanks, within reason. And then you're pressing the brake, not stabbing it, but you're kind of finessing it to hold the bike back, to bring it back down. And it really does take practice, but it ends up providing for a lot smoother wheelies, right? And I'm going to mention this because I've seen guys, loop it, and it's happened to me early on in my days. When you're doing that, be careful not riding the back brake so much, because what happens is that you can easily boil the brake fluid, and then you can either boil the brake fluid, or you get the brake rotor so freaking hot that it starts glowing red. And you can tell this at night a lot of times when guys are riding the brake, that brake rotor is glowing like if it was lava. And what happens is you lose your back brake, like either because you boiled the fluid or because the rotor is so fucking hot that it just doesn't grab. And then when you go hit the brake and you're gonna go thinking that the brake's gonna save you, it won't. And what happens is you end up looping the bike because you boiled the fluid, or the rotor's so hot that it's not gonna work, right? And so the more you learn this one, right, the less you're actually gonna have to smash the back brake, and the smoother your wheelies are gonna get. And once you really lock this one in, you'll start really just backing off the throttle and just slightly tapping the back brake to hold the wheelie. It takes practice, because the more you practice, really, the better you're gonna get at this. But I've seen, and I say practice, because I've seen guys who don't even know how to wheelie, and they go and they put in the work, and they're riding at the lot almost every single night, and then they end up getting this within several weeks, sometimes even a week or two, and then you're like, holy crap, like, they're fast learners. But the reason why they're fast is because they were putting so much fucking time. And it's all about, how much you want to push yourself. It's all about ultimately really the style that you want to go with. I prefer smoothing the throttle and using the back brake to hold the bike, and it does take a little more technique because you're working the throttle and you're working the back brake simultaneously. And so you as you start getting smoother, you start backing off the throttle just gently, and you just start tapping the brake just gently to kind of keep the bike there. And it takes practice, it takes work. You're not gonna fucking be able to hear this and then go implement it right away and get it off the first rip. I mean, I wish you could. And maybe there are guys out there that could do it, but this is more to give you like the basic techniques of how you can start like really getting this down, right? And ultimately, like I said, the style that you choose is up to you. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do this shit, because you most definitely can, man. I've seen some guys that came from rookied out to passing me as a better rider just because they're willing to put in the fucking time. Like, and another pointer that I want to point out there, like, once you get the technique down, either or, rocking back and forth the throttle, or staying steady on the throttle and using the brake to kind of hold the bike, is that, if you want to start getting some real distance, what you're going to notice is that your arms is going to start getting really tired. You can start getting tired because you're supporting your whole body, you're holding yourself up as you're rocking the huge wheelies. And so that what helps is if you could get some type of support system, that so that you can release some of the pressure off your arms, and the support system that I'm really talking about is that you can get like a custom like a custom passenger seat that has like an extension on it, so that it kind of pushes you on your butt, so that it holds you back. Or they also actually sell, I want to get one of these for my Gixxer. It's a custom main seat for the rider, and it has a little build-up portion so that it holds your butt in and you don't slide back, so that you can keep in place. And so what happens is that it's helping you keep in place, and you're able to kind of release your hands a little bit, obviously still holding because you're on a wheelie, but you're not locked in and grabbing as hard as you can, holding yourself up while the bike is at close to 12 o'clock. So it helps you just rock along your wheelies. And if you're a tall guy like me, this is something that you can use also, is that you can just literally move yourself back in the seat back all the way to the position where your butt is resting against the rear seat. And then once it's resting there, you can kind of let go of your hands a little bit to a certain degree. Don't let go of the hands all the way, which you can in rock no handers. That's another trick, more advanced trick. But the main purpose of this is really to just release the grip off your hands, to loosen it up, so that you can give your arms and your muscles a break. And it helps also with keeping the arm pump under control. And arm pump, what it is that you hold so tight the handlebars that your forearms start building up, and then they start pumping so hard that you can't grab the handlebar anymore, and you're literally grabbing so hard that it starts loosening. And there's even been at times where you're grabbing so hard for so long and you're so dehydrated that your arms just lock up on you. It happened to me the other day, actually, and I was like, holy shit, I'm fucking really dehydrated. But that's just happens when you start like rocking really long distance. Just practice, man. It really does. Work, practice. Oh, and something else. I'm glad I put this down because I almost forgot about this. Don't forget to breathe. And I know that sounds so fucking simple and probably so basic for you listening, right? But so many times, and it happens to me still to this day, is that you get so locked in on a trick, you're fucking doing your thing, you're at the traffic, and you're like in the zone. And what happens is that you're so locked in, and by the time I notice, like my breath is really short, like I'm fucking gasping for breath, I'm out of breath, I'm like breathing really shallow, and what happens is that I fucking forgot to breathe. Like you're so focused on doing what you're doing that you literally forget to breathe. And I know that might sound like some basic fucking technique, but it happens to a lot of riders. It happens to me all the time. And if you're someone who's going to learn how to wheelie, who's going to learn how to do this, it's going to happen to you too, man. So know that, if you want to rock some long wheelies, if you want to, hold some distance, if you want to do some gangster tricks, remember to breathe, and breathe from your diaphragm. Like, make sure that your belly is moving out when you're breathing in and moving inward when you're breathing out. And it takes flexing that muscle to make that deep breath happen. And so what it does is that it keeps you calm. And then ultimately what it does is that it gives you more endurance so that you can do whatever trick it is that you're doing for way fucking longer, man. It really helps. So, boys, it's fucking wheelie, bro. It's wheelie time. Let's fucking get it, man. Yo, I'm driving the fucking checkered flag deep into the ground, and I'm calling out all the motorsport enthusiasts who want to improve their situation. Let's break free from all the shit that's been holding us back, and let's prove to the world that we're genuinely some badass motherfuckers. Those of you who made it to the end of the episode, I want to say that you got yourself a win, man. And I truly appreciate you for investing your valuable time into the Live Wide Open podcast. This movement is called Live Your Life Wide Open, and helping others improve is the mission that God has tasked us with. We are driven individuals. We're working on breaking the fucking stereotype and becoming the best that we can be. Join me on this journey where we help as many motorsport enthusiasts as possible to create the best lives that we can imagine. Yo, and if you still haven't subscribed yet, man, what are you fucking waiting for, bro? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you never miss another episode. You can follow me on my Instagram. My handle is Wide Open Randy. And if you felt any connection to today's message, I genuinely ask that you please share this on your story so that more people can see it. Because that is how the message spreads. That is how more people can know about this podcast, And so I'll catch you guys on the next episode. But till then, live your life wide open, my friends. Peace.